Naberius, Kerberos, Kerberos, Nuberus, Nebiros, Garmr, which means growler, Ker Berethrou, which is the how about the pit? The vial, the pit. Okay. Naberus, Naburus, Naberius, Cerbere, Kerberos, Sarvara, are by whatever name you call this 24th. This. Anyways, I'll say more after the chant. VBZM. Second word, GZHZ. Third word, ELOLXFI. And then the fifth has a capital M Z Y V I R F H. Vum zum gazalox ve mazyavirfah. 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 And I much prefer this now to the use of bells and such. I proposed at one point, boom, ding, boom, ding, using a bell drum combination. Particularly, you want to have, but people who do use musical instruments for these operations, whether it's an exorcist or a carcist or devotee, they would look at these, you'd want to have things that have an effect. We're not just doing music to entertain. I would condemn that in all of life, but we're doing music to change the feeling. But one of the things I'm doing in this series is showing there's an alternative to that, a better alternative. So Naberius is thought to be the same as Kerberos by John Wire, and he says it's over 29 legions. But your typical Goetic Grimoire is going to say is going to call it a valiant Marquise, over 19 legions, appearing as a crow with a harsh voice. And the worshippers of this being, a carcist is technically a worshipper for a cause, they think that thinks it can control things like this. They think that it will cause them to be crafty in various arts, particularly rhetoric, and granting prelaces and dignitaries, or, not granting them, making them easier to obtain. There are entities that people worship in hopes to gain political and spiritual authority our respect. But this is one that people worship in hopes of this thing making it easier. Occultopedia.com says that Kerberos is a offspring of Echidna and Typhon, a brother of Orthros, which is a two-headed hellhound, versus being a three-headed hellhound, overcome by Hercules and brought to Mycena. And James Donahue says that Cerberus, listing it the same as Nebiros, he says it's been depicted with several heads, but the body and feet of a bird. Dan Seagraves says that it appears as a black crane that flutters around the head of the summoner and speaks with a rough and grating voice. And there are cases, some more famous than others, of black magicians that changed their taste in music and were inspired to go down the path they were because of a demonic experience. But, the musical style of black metal and all that is, not as difficult as one realizes. You think, oh, I'm just not going to be able to handle that many beats, and you do. The scientific for the moon would be 210.42 hertz, which is a G sharp in the 29th octave. The traditional would be a C through D, both majors. The Oanase is a G major, fourth mode, in Dorian. And so the grimoires in regards to the Marquises would be mid-afternoon to sunrise, except under the Elemental King. And maybe I should tell you what the chart says. So what does the chart say? Amon, Buar, Loreka, Abatu, Salus, Epos, Aim, Naberius. So they say Amamon. But others would say just use the quadrant, just mention the quadrant, which is Ga'ab. But, right side up, of course. And right side up, of course. And the symbols can be used pro or anti. Don't think that a symbol has to be confined like that. 98.6 beats per minute, 445.9 hertz over 440 hertz plus 22.9 centimeters. Scents that you may want to look at are agar-agar, bamboo, camphor, chickweed, coconut, cucumber, hibiscus, Irish moss, jasmine, oak moss, poppy, reed, water lily, and willow. And so, going on with further attributions, we have VK Gehenna saying that it's a night demon, but not fully functional as a nocturnal entity, a field marshal, an inspector general, Algol, and Algorol would be stars. 252 being its number, it being a psychopomp barrier between the physical and material plane, To him, it appears as a black dog with red eyes in a gargoyle sort of pose. People use it for warding, for pyromancy, hydromancy, prescience, death magic, suffering and fear. And Little Doom Witch says that it restores lost honor and aids in communication. The Mercury entities might be better at that, but when you're doing addressing the issues associated with that, may be better at that. But when you do path working, you think, if you're not doing path working, you pick out one or two things, but you may actually address those in ways that you're going to need by going through the whole system. It's like, I'm going to path work my way through the Kabbalah. No, I'm not going to path work my way through the Kabbalah. I'm just going to go straight to this. And if you do the hangman, if you do the meme path, and you haven't done the others, you may not be as good at doing the meme path, and you may need something from some. You may think, oh, this is the spot I need. This is what I need, but this is not what you need. There's more to it than that. Michael W. Ford says it's for strength and guidance, but it makes musicians nervous. I happen to mention musicians for some reason. Okay. Stephanie Connolly says that it educates in science and builds courage. So, Vumzum Gazalax Femas Virfa. Vumzum Gazalax Femas Yavirfa. To return it to my brass-lined vessel, because no matter how cheap your little thing is, you may want to take that step. But I'm going to go and do the Enochian meditation in the middle. Shoes squeaking, but yawn, 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 yawn. Can the wings of the winds understand your voices of wonder? Ooh, you the second and the first, whom the burning flames have framed within the depths of my jaws, whom I have prepared as cups for a wedding, are as the flowers in their beauty for the chamber of the righteousness. Stronger are your feet than the barren stone, and mightier are your voices than the manifold winds, for you are become a building such as is not, save in the mind of the all-powerful. Arise, save the first, move therefore unto his servants, show yourselves in power, and make us a strong seeding, for I am of him that liveth forever. On good Bapa Zangam Thought Sonbev La Sobam Ealperng Ezazaz Pianpa Kas Abramang Tatalho Parakleda Qatalors Luk Turbs Angel Malto Ngewekes Lusend Are on me Kaupkes Beazangon Labnu Antrop Kurstange Manin Eadan Toza Gohel Zakar Kakanokod Zamran Mikauzad Azazma Zazm Vrelp Lap Zir Eoyan. I felt as if I should have done the meditation then. I'm tingly and hypersensitive on the left front side, going up my arm. And my ear, and my forehead. It was like a little knife went into the stone, the pudding stone. I just felt a little rush of euphoria. And if you didn't notice, I sloughed down a little bit. And again. And again. But I gotta continue with the with this here. So my next experience. Okay. I felt my eyes return to normal there, so I can get back into the normal. So the first experience of the working number 24 was surely during 2011. So let's turn to the journals for my notes, and then I'll share of an experience. Naba means a prophet, prophecy, knowledge, something beyond the five senses. Beyond the five senses. You have Nub, flourish, brings forth, increase, cheerful. This is the Aramaic, the ancient Aramaic. That would have happened around the time of Moses and afterwards. Rush is poor, lack, heedy. Arsh is request, betroth, espouse. Rush, inherit, head. Rus, demolish, ruin, pieces. Naba is belch, utter, pour, send, flow. Nub, flourish, fruit, prophecy, see inside. And in the Hebrew, we have Neber, which is scrabble about, and Nabar, which is ignorant or stupid. A lot of these Goetic names mean something negative. So, the 16th of July, 2011, Saturday, using a colonnade candle to symbolize honor and dignity, between 9:36 and 9:57 p.m., I felt a bit of warmness centered to my left, around my heart, for a cubit outwards. My head felt clear, around me like watercolors are oil in water. Out in sunlight was a melt of oranges, yellows, and greens. I was a tingle. I felt the presence of something moving 5 feet off the ground about the room. I then saw into my head something like an owl's or cat's ears was in my shell of a physical being. I saw past flesh and bone. There was a neon orange ball of light in my prefrontal cortex. It shed its light outwards. My reflection flashed rapidly in the mirror. A flowing, stroking feeling moved down my cheeks. A cold but pleasant shudder rolled down the front of me as I blessed the food amongst a soft blue light. And 2012 was the next operation that we're going to look at. But remember, when looking at these things, to consider the variation in the symbols where they occur and the different variation of the attributes, because they can it's important to experiment and keep note of the different things. You may want a different permanent one versus a temporary one. You may want a different one in your journal versus the others. You may be inspired in realization of a different symbol. But anyways, what language? Latin, yes. Let's look at the Latin first. You got Baras, which is an elephant. You have Boreas, the north wind, the sister of the so-called river god of the Strymon, and the friend of Calais and Zetes by Orithia. Buris, the crooked under part of the plow tail. Brevis, a short confined in the distant extent, small, shallow, unimportant, concise. Ne, not or not, unless. Na, an integrative pronoun, expressive of a purpose of result. Nabes, a cloud or nebula. And I think there's some other Latin here somewhere, isn't there? Bara. Oh, no, that's Greek. Okay. I will go into the Greek next. And we have ne, which is truly, in truth, yes. Nao, flow, as an over. Nah, yes, truly. By God. No or noi, which is we too. And Boraios and Borhios is northern. Boreas, north wind, north. Baris, flat bottom boat. Burros, weight, grief, sorrow, burden, build, plenty, dignity. Baros, heavy, burdensome, oppressive, weighty, deep voice. And instead of a harsh voice or a hoarse voice or a grating voice, there can just be a deep voice, Hollow, loud, troublesome, painful, unwholesome, hard, cruel, strong, mighty. And always look at the language to see if there's something else that's going to come through than what has been transmitted through the grimoires. Particularly what's been transmitted through the grimoires. But we have, in the ancient Aramaic, we have na, meaning plead, raw, please, now, beseech, pray, oh, go. Nib, flourish, fruit, prophecy, seed inside. Nabab, hollow, vein. Naba, prophet, prophecy. Nabia, prophet, prophecy. Ars, bed, couch, bedstead. Arisa, dough. Knee, way, wailing. Rash, quake, shake, tremble, remove. You have, I am sorry about my shoes that keep squeaking. Nabrusha is a lampstand, candles, stick. Nebrush, which again is the candlestick. Bursa, I forgot about, meaning skin or hide, which is Greek. You have Birch is a cypress. Baruch is a cypress tree, cypress wood, fir. Okay. What my experience. July 17th, 2012. Verses not used in the typical rite to represent what the grimoires mention, to address the same issues we have from the Quran 1779 through 89, 22:18, 2:217, 4, 139, 35, 10. From the so-called New Testament, we have Romans 1, 18 through 32. We have, what book is that? Second Chronicles 2:14. We have Exodus 35, 10 through 35. So July 17th, 10:02 to 11:08 p.m. I felt a movement upon my skin. I saw an uneven pink glow. I saw a white mist flow out of the west and down upon the floor. I felt a presence in the southeast, the size of a person, but not resting on anything or against anything. I saw bursts of yellow light that shrunk down quickly when I felt warmth build up inside me. I felt heady and saw strobing white at times and strobing blue at others. I lost all pain and soreness. I felt flutters of euphoria. I am left with more energy and my eyes return to normal 30 minutes later. Now, I do these things for devotion. Obviously, there's a lot of learning that's included in the devotion. But, I mean, honestly, particularly when you shake in pain every day, if you find a way without damaging yourself through prescribed medication and others sort of stuff to relieve that pain, to bring you or make you functional for like normal for a few minutes or something, why would you not do this every day? Or, you know, at least every few days when you got the energy. But anyways, so there's so many reasons for me to keep doing some of the stuff that I'm doing. But, so I'm going to make this more visible. That's a little bit different of the version of the symbol. A more final version of the ritual. Some correspondence, the Shemhem Forosh, which will be addressed at another time. But let's look at some of the language that can relate. You got the Nub Arwi, which is said to be a goddess. And in Egyptian, you typically have a lot of tree and egg sort of stuff associated with. But as I said before, there's a cypress involved. So let's consider that. We have Nun Yabu, which is ceaseless. And that would be Nun Woo. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. A little variation there. Sorry about the fumbling. So Nubat Ar Muya, which is said to be a serpent fire goddess. A lot of mention of, but I didn't do any ritual in particular in 2013. So unless I have any questions, I'm going to bid you adieu here because I've come to the end of the material that I had laid forth. So, Pitharzi Bomsarg, peace be upon every one of you.